Your obligation of chesed is your inner circle. If you take care of the inner circle, if a person wants to grow in Judaism, the trick to growth in Judaism is find that area of life that you could do volunteer work. Now, pay attention very carefully, because you have to be very careful. It doesn't mean at the expense of what we have to do. There's a list of things that we have to do. Each one of us has our obligations, and we're not allowed to shirk our obligations. We must fulfill our obligations to the letter. But if a person is looking to grow, be very, very careful here. If a person is looking to grow and activate some sort of enthusiasm in their service of God, you have to find an area that you can do what we'll call volunteer work. That means as follows. When it comes to Torah, there's a minimal obligation for men how much Torah they have to study every day. The Yisa Boyom Laila, you have to learn at least some Torah during the morning, during the day hours, and some Torah at night. How much Torah does a man have to learn? According to the Vilna Gaon, to fulfill your obligation, 1 word. All you got to do, open your Chumash in the morning, Bereshis. That was good. Okay, I finished my Chumash. Okay, now. Then you go back at night, Bara. In the course of a week, you'll finish 1 pasuk. You did your minimal obligation. If a person, a man, that's the minimal obligation, you've done it. Now, don't you see that there are certain men who are always learning? They're just considered what we call a masvid, constantly learning Torah, even above and beyond the call of duty. There are certain women, you have to do the basic chesed. Your obligation of chesed is your inner circle. If you take care of the inner circle, parents, siblings, husbands, children, then you can broaden the circle to do the chesed outside the home. Which is more fun? Honestly, ladies, which is more fun? To bake a cake for a husband? I didn't say obligation. I said which is more fun? To bake the cake for the husband, or to bake a cake for a kiddush, which is going to be on display in shul, where everybody's going to see it, they're going to ooh and ah. So some women will say, oh no, for my husband, it's just wonderful, that's terrific, I love them, nothing but I love her. Well, I envy you. I envy you. I don't believe you, but I envy you. But the idea of obligation is, who do you do the chesed for? There's a little old man that needs to be driven to work every day. It happens to be your father. Is that as much fun as driving old Mr. Goldstein down the block? No, it's not. Because that's volunteer. There's a little bit of, what do you call it? A little bit of covet in it, a little bit of prestige. People will talk about you, what tzaddik you are, and so on. But at the end of the day, what was the obligation? The obligation is your inner circle first. If you've taken care of that obligation, and then you find an area, and this has to do with individual expression. Some people are into davening. And if you daven and you devote yourself to davening with tremendous, tremendous dveikus, and dveikus doesn't mean action, by the way. Dveikus means concentration, intensity. Intensity has nothing to do with physical movement. To the contrary, usually the less you move, the more you're concentrating on the davening. But at the end of the day, if that's your area of interest in life, that's where you're going to make the greatest connection with God. If a person is interested in learning Torah, that's your connection. If you're going to do chesed, if it's going to be tzedakah, if some people are meticulous about their mitzvah observance. You ever see people, a man, you have 2 types of men who can look for an esrog. You have one man who looks for an esrog and it takes him about 10 minutes to buy an esrog. You have another man who disappears for 3 days. For 3 days he's out looking at loving an esrog, and they come to him and he still hasn't found one. I don't know. There was a problem this year. I couldn't find one. Where were you for 3 days? And he's looking for the esrog. I want to tell you something. Different people have different natures. There's some people who look for mitzvahs. They're into the meticulous details of the mitzvah. There are other people who would absolutely go crazy with that. But that same person then is doing chesed all over the community. And the person who's into the mitzvahs, he doesn't have the patience to do that kind of chesed. It doesn't really matter, says the Stipler, as long as you pick one area. And that's the area where you can feel about yourself that you're doing volunteer work. That's the area where they're going to create the connection between you and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the area where a Jew is going to experience growth. A very, very important idea. Because our problem in life is we become stale. And one of the reasons we become stale is we just feel like we're going through the motions again and again. If a person understands that this area, I don't really have to be doing this. I'm going above and beyond. And again, I just want to again emphasize, assuming I've taken care of that which I have to take care of, then I find an area where I could go above and beyond. That's the area which is going to create the strongest connection, and the goal is to create that connection between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu.